Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you are watching a Dyer-Situation. This is Brandon Cunningham. He's going to be a temporary co-host for today, and we are reviewing Victor Frankenstein. So, you heard anything about this movie? What do you think it's going to be like?
I haven't seen any trailers for it or seen anything about it, but I believe it's going to be a comedy and it's going to be fun.
Okay. I have seen trailers for it. Personally, I think it looks dumb. I don't know. I think there's plenty of way better Frankenstein comedies that have been out in the past, most notably Young Frankenstein, which I'm sure is leaps and bounds ahead of this. So I am on the low side of what I expect it's going to be. So, yeah, have anything else to say about it?
Probably a campy, really campy comedy.
Okay then, we'll tell you what it's like. Wow, that kind of blew. So, Brandon, what did you think of Victor Frankenstein?
It felt like it was, gross. It was a little terrible. I mean, like, Harry Potter was in it, and so was Malfoy, apparently.
Yeah, not actual Malfoy. They had Daniel Radcliffe, and they had this rich asshole who had the same haircut and look of Draco Malfoy, but it wasn't the same
asshole.
Actor. Yeah, and he was a rich asshole, so.
Just like
in a Frankenstein movie, why not?
They had this fight scene where they were playing like two different games because apparently Victor von Frankenstein took some classes in Rogue because he was just a complete like speed demon with all these Assassin's Creed like moves, and then you got Igor over here who got his back fixed and he's fighting normal. I didn't know if he was just like crippled from all the superpowered stuff because he was all like, hey, I'm gonna hit this guy and then I'm gonna run away like I'm in Dark Souls. And then Victor von Frankenstein just jumps up on this guy's back and does this whole dagger spin and nails the guy right in the neck. And I'm like, okay.
You're making this sound way more awesome than it was.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, they're doing two different fighting games. I'm like, does Igor not get the superpower moves because he used to be a hunchback and now he's not? Like, why does Victor von Frankenstein have all of this cool ninja moves when he's just a scientist college boy? I mean, he's just got all these... There's no story behind that. He's just this random guy who can open locks and do all this, like, X-Men bull crap, and it's like...
Yeah, at the very beginning, he breaks Igor out of prison, out of a cage in the carnival, and he just starts pulling, like, ninja moves and stuff. That's out of nowhere. And never explain, he can just do that. And bear in mind, this isn't like I, Frankenstein. This isn't like Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, where it's just going to an extreme level of action schlockness. This is meant to be taken at least somewhat seriously, I'm guessing. Like...
Well, there was a scene in there where it wasn't meant to be taken seriously, but it was so campy and out of place for a movie that was taking it, like, really serious. It was like this part... where I thought it was funny and I liked it, but it wasn't a good time and place for the movie, which is where the character, he's downstairs, and then they're talking about him, and you see him arguing with somebody, and I thought that was awesome, like watching Victor von Frankenstein argue with people about how whatever, I don't remember, but anyways, you see him downstairs arguing, he just teleports over there. They're like, "How did you get here?" And he's like, "Never mind that." I was like, I like it, but...
It made no sense in the context of the film.
I think that just goes with Victor von Frankenstein. That movie had superpowers.
To me, this kind of feels like some producer walked up to this crew and said, "Hey there, we need money. We want you to do another Frankenstein movie. Okay, do it now. Yeah, here's some budget. Yeah."
Well,
and so they were like, let's see, what can we do with this? Well, everything conceivable has already been done, so I guess we can do... And that's what it kind of felt like. They were just kind of wiggling their way through it, trying to do something, and just failing miserably at it. That's the best way I can describe this. Bear in mind, I'm not even gonna compare this to the book because, frankly, it's an incredible middle finger to the book. Honestly, that 1910 silent Frankenstein movie had more connections to the book than this did. And that's the one where Frankenstein was created in a giant cooking pot, so there you go. Well, Frankenstein's monster, I'm sorry. Although I have heard the argument that the monster is technically called Frankenstein because he is the son of Frankenstein. Although in this movie, apparently he's supposed to be his brother because his brother died and he wants to bring him back, but not him, just something like him, so he can kind of make up for it because he kind of accidentally got his brother killed, or at least that's how he sees it. I hate this movie.
Let's see. There's another point where you're talking about when the cop, the guy who didn't have a warrant, like got all the cops to be.
Yeah. Several scenes that don't quite. It's really sloppily written. So there's a scene where there's basically this crazed cop after him, and I'll get into the cop later because there's some really sloppy writing with that. But there's a cop after Victor Frankenstein. He wants him had for his crimes against nature or whatever. And basically he rounded up some guys and he was busting into his house. And Igor came back and he saw that they were trying to get into the house. Igor, whatever.
Igor.
Just
call him that. Just call him Igor.
Yeah, whatever. He goes back and he sees that they're trying to bust down the door, and then he suddenly is down in the lab with Victor Frankenstein. He's like, "There's somebody out there," and then the cops down there, and they don't quite explain how they got down into the lab when there's people trying to bust in there. And then Later on, that cop is being reprimanded because he was like, "You didn't have a warrant, McCready, and you're an obsessed cop who scribbles stuff all over the walls. That's how we know you're obsessed. But you didn't have a warrant. You're out of line. There's no real evidence that he did anything wrong here." Although the problem with that is, in the middle of the lab, because Victor Frankenstein revealed this in the most flamboyant way possible, there is a dead body in the middle of his lab. And apparently nobody thinks that that's a little suspicious. They didn't even mention that. They just said, like, this evidence you got here, it's just not enough to convict him of anything. They didn't mention the dead body at all. It's like they forgot about it. And then the cop gets disgraced, but at the end he's able to round up like 50 people to try and take down the manor again. And yeah, really sloppily written. But the main thing with the cop, they try, and this is the cringeworthy moment. This is the part where I think we can both agree it got really, really wrong. They try to, very sloppily, to insert a theologian aspect to this, because Victor is like an incredible, like, skeptic, atheist, I guess, and the other guy is like, "You want to torment? You're getting a crime against nature and God. You are a sinner." And it was really juvenile the way they were handling it. It wasn't like two adults talking. It was like young teenagers.
To also add to it, it was like, not to bring up the other movie we watched afterwards, but it was like, it felt like every character had the same, like, kind of, you could tell, like, it felt like just one guy wrote the entire thing, which, yeah, I guess one guy always writes the entire thing, but usually when I watch movies, it feels like multiple people worked on this. This one just felt like one guy, because it was just, all these people were just so the same, kind of. Like, they weren't, but they kind of were. Like, there was no, I didn't feel any individuality with them. I was like, wow, they're all just a bunch of dumbasses who are all set in their own ways.
Oh, I kind of...
Except for Igor.
I think I kind of get what you mean. Basically, like, nobody has their own individual character. Is that what you're kind of saying?
I don't know how to put it. Like, when, you cool if I jump into the other movie we saw? Or?
We don't want to break the audience's suspension of disbelief here.
Okay. All right. Well, like, I'll bring up the Avengers then, because that's totally off top. Okay, so the Avengers, I could tell, like, they were all, like, individuals. You know, there was definitely, like, because, you know, Thor's kind of just, I don't know how to put it, but in Frankenstein, they just all felt their decision-making skills felt the same. They didn't have this whole, I don't know how to, I really can't put it like how I want to, but there was definitely this thing where they just all felt like tunnel vision, except for Igor. Igor was like the only person who seemed like he kind of didn't.
And even then, I'm only certain he's that way because Daniel Radcliffe's mind has been warped by the theater he's done recently, because he seems really off to me in this movie. and well, it sets him apart. That's a good thing. But
there's another movie called Horns, and that was just it had its good points, but it had its points where you're just like, stop.
Oh, well, there was something you brought up earlier, like about how they kind of hushed over the Hunchback aspect of him.
Well, it was like he was the Hunchback, and then they're just like, as Glenn said when we saw it, is like he was just looked like a guy leaning over, like it wasn't really a Hunchback thing, and then it just got like problem solved, like in the start of the movie. It wasn't like, hey, you know, like be a Hunchback the entire scene. It's like, no, you must be pretty for Hollywood's sake. It's not like this, you know, it like Stanley once said this thing about how like basically saying like what, ugly people can't be heroes too. Like that movie made it very clear that if you want to get in this world, you got to be pretty.
Yeah. Like, because Victor manages to cure him of his false hunchbackness, because it was actually like an enormous cyst on his back, apparently.
That just
even though I didn't see it there before. It was an
18-year-old cyst, by the way. It was an 18-year-old cyst.
Yeah, it was an enormous cyst. It was gross. But, yeah, he cures him of it with the worst doctoring methods I've ever seen. Like, I'm pretty sure the stuff he was using would actually, like, break his back more than fix it. But
well, you got to remember, he's a rogue, not a doctor. Like, that movie established that he's a rogue.
Well, in the context of the movie, he's also supposed to be a doctor and a brilliant one, I guess. But he's a lot of
on Igor's coattails.
Every time they were trying to do like actual medical science, it came across as somebody who like checks WebMD every now and then, but other than that, doesn't know anything about medical stuff. Because in the instance, they have to fix a dislocated shoulder, which had cut off somebody's windpipe, which still doesn't make sense to me. But the way they fixed it was actually they basically shoved it back into place. But the way they did that was actually the wrong direction to be shoving in, and probably would have made things a lot worse. But in the movie, it works just fine.
Well, that's what established Igor's character as special, because he could just work. Like he had like, because remember when Frankenstein grabbed his hands and be like, "Your hands are magical." It's that he can heal people with like doing impractical medical procedures. He can just heal people that way. The movie's not bad. It's just
it's not bad.
It didn't explore on Igor's Jesus talents. Like, I mean, that guy did have gifted hands. Frankenstein was right, and that bromance, man, that rich guy tried to be a part of that. I think, honestly, the entire movie was about a bromance between Harry Potter and Frankenstein and Malfoy, because Malfoy is trying to make a movie, and Harry Potter's like, no, man. And then there's this one, talk about the love interest.
Oh yeah, forced love interest lady. I don't even remember her name.
Well, I was also talking about Victor von Frankenstein and Daniel Radcliffe, what they had going on, but keep going.
Oh yeah, forced love interest. Basically what you expect. She has a vagina, so therefore she must be in the movie, and people must love her. She has no character. That is all.
Well, she does have a character. She was the one who almost died, but Igor saved her.
That's not a character. That's a position.
Well, okay. Well, she has the character where she
describe her without describing how she looks or what she's done.
She is a very nice person.
There you go. Yeah. That's like something I saw once, where it was a comparison between the original Star Wars characters and the prequel ones. Like, if you ask that question for the originals, you can get a pretty good diagnosis, but for the prequel ones, it's very, very low level.
Sand. I hate sand.
But anyway, we're getting a little off topic. To me, I guess as a final thing, to me, this movie is almost so bad it's good, but not quite there. there was a lot of moments where I was just laughing at the absurdity of what they were trying to shove down my throat. But
I totally messed up that Star Wars quote, didn't I? I thought I had it, but I didn't.
it's okay.
All right.
But
Forgive me, internets!
But yeah, so that's kind of my final diagnosis. And what about you? Would you recommend the film?
If I didn't like the person, and I we had that kind of friendship where, you think you like each other, like, or you're just kind of neutral with each other, but like, oh, hey man, how's it going? Yeah, oh, that Frankenstein movie, damn, man, it was powerful, and then just send them on their merry way. But then again, I like people thinking I'm smart, so.
I'll just say, I'll just take that as a no. I would also not recommend this movie. And anything else to say, or?
God, I know there's so much more to cover.
Of course there is.
No, I mean, there's we had this awesome joke we cracked at, but I don't know. I don't want to waste YouTube's time with pausing. I'm pretty sure everyone's like, I just want to click out of this. Okay. Well, anyways.
Oh, don't worry. I only have 24 fans.